All right, all right. How's everyone doing? Another episode of the Maniac Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Had Enough. So this is a new podcast I started. Just the whole concept of Maniac Mindset is just to help influence people who maybe want to really have passion in the path that they're taking in life, whether it be music, podcasting, business ownership, uh, any whatever what have you. And it kind of feels like we're all kind of doing the same thing, and it feels like you're not really getting to the next level. So sometimes maybe change your mindset up and find new ways and new ways of looking at things, and trying new avenues, and you know finding your success path, so to speak, and just have pretty cool conversations with cool people doing cool shit. Anyways, also let you guys know, definitely leave some comments in the chat. They will pop up on the screen. And with that said, my apologies to everyone on Instagram. For some reason, they don't. But if you do comment on Instagram, I will read them and respond to your questions or statements or what have you. All right. So, want everyone to check out my guest tonight. He is the host of Surviving Rocklahoma. We got Adam Richmond. How's it going?
It's going well, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's been a minute.
It has, dude. It's hard to think about how long we've been doing this stuff, man.
Right. So, I want to give people, there's probably a good portion of my audience that probably might be unfamiliar with you, just because I have a good portion. They're not exactly in the rock genre, so to speak. But just in case people don't know who you are, if you could give us just a little intro.
Sure. I launched a super I'd call a fan page dedicated to Rocklahoma back in 2015, and it was pretty much all aimed at trying to assist folks having the same experience I had my first time, because it has become my family. Everybody out there is just
Mhm.
so close. But, that's one time a year. And so when I'm not visiting with folks about that, we cover local music and the local music community. I've always looked up to those radio DJs and people who are always in the underground. Always said, you know what, I want to do that sometime.
Yeah.
And so, I just figured I could do that, and so I did it. And it is so addictive. This community and meeting these people that are in it and meeting the storytellers. So it's just been an adventure, and just accomplishing one goal after another.
Nice. So let's start from the beginning. What got you into wanting to host a podcast, and and then which you do is it's called Surviving Rocklahoma, and you're just giving the news and what's going on in Oklahoma's music scene, festivals. Obviously, Rocklahoma being being the one rock festival that comes here, that's the big deal of the whole state, so to speak. But yeah, what got you wanting to do this originally?
I had been doing podcasting for a couple of years. I've always been like doing DJ work and mic work in some capacity as side jobs and side hustles throughout the years. But I had a really good friend that I went to high school with who wanted to do a podcast, and I had all the equipment. So we dabbled into that. And after 3 years, that show kind of ran its course,
Mhm.
and we kind of both went off to do our own thing. And I figured, you know what, I've got all the equipment. We'll just do a Q&A sometime on Facebook Live, because Facebook Live just launched. And uh, I had like 1,000 viewers. I'm like, well, hell, if I got that many, you guys keep watching, I'll keep doing it. And so people loved it. And so I just kept letting it ride, and letting the show snowball and get as big as it could get.
Excellent. What was your first interview?
My, that's a good story. My first interview, it in Rocklahoma, 2018 was the first year I got media, and I was going in very green. I had been applying for it for years, and I was completely surprised and caught off guard that they actually approved it. So after promoting it for a while, that's when then it all starts to set in. You're like, oh my gosh, I've gotta actually do this stuff. I've been talking, now I gotta walk the walk. And so I was going in, I had a list of some bands I'd like to meet. I hadn't met, like Dirty Huddy and some of the other locals and such. And then on the way there, I hear from I'm out at the gas station getting gas, and then I get the message from the PR folks, and I've only seen this band on like Jerry Springer and you know some of the most cool MTV stuff.
Yeah.
But they said, you know what, we'd like to sit down with you and have you interview Guar. And
Nice.
uh, talk about a trial, but a baptism, but in extreme. I watch a lot of wrestling, so I just kind of, you sit down and you go with it, and they're in character, they're kayfabe, super super cool people, and it was awesome.
That's great. So your first interview was a big metal band.
Yeah, yeah, and if you don't know, if you had never heard of them, it it's just it there's no real way to explain it. I mean, it's like the
Mhm.
cartoon 70s cartoon movie, heavy metal in person. So they got the silicone uh uh pieces on and everything, and it's raining theatrical blood and bodily fluids on everybody. It's just an amazing show. It is so much fun.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity and pleasure to see Gore live at least 3 times. I'll never forget the first time I was prepared to get doused. And if you've seen a Gore show, you know what that means.
Oh man. And I
That don't come out for another couple days, whatever it is they use to mix that stuff up. So you have to. So when you explain to people why you look purple for a few days, well, it's a mixture of different bodily fluids.
when my I brought a photographer on 4 year, going on 5 years ago, whenever I was approved for photo. And one of after sitting down and meeting Pustulus and having a nice interview and stuff, and they're very articulate and well spoken when they want to be. So it's such a contrast. And so having that photographer in, and she is very extra. She is all about this stuff, and she's down with the clowns too, man. So like, uh, you know, Rain and Fago and all this stuff, that's nothing new to her. So she was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, I am so ready." I was like, "Take a trash bag for your camera and have fun." And she came back just absolutely drenched, and she was on photo row, so she got all of it.
Right on. All right. What's up to Jacob in Tulsa and Jared Ralphie Allen? What's up, guys? So yeah, what are some other well-known bands? Well, I guess we could start. We'll start with the big names. We can talk about the locals. So you had Gore. Is there? I mean, you've been doing this for a while, so I'm sure if I asked your list of bands, we'd probably be here all night.
Yeah, it is true, but
Yeah.
and I think anybody who does this stuff, one way to explain it, because we all have the mindset in the media tent back there, and
Mhm.
we collect artists like Pokemon. Like we see, so I want to meet him. I want to meet him. And I'm a one of those people. I have a lot of anxiety and self doubt, like a lot of other people and stuff.
Mhm.
So when I started doing this, and as I've grown, I made my studio here, but I always keep my wall of fame behind me. So whenever I'm starting to question whether I want to continue going forward, or I'm just kind of really being a nitpick at myself and questioning what to do next, I go over there and I look at my artist of my all-time bucket list people that I've got to meet, and
Yeah.
it really does. It keeps me going. But I would say this past year, I had my career high of getting to interview Sebastian Bach and Lita Ford. That for me has, I could retire now and just to consider it being going out on top.
Yeah.
That was just amazing.
Hmm. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Definitely have those bucket lists where it's like, hey, if everything just ends tomorrow, or if I'm just, falling off and hey, it's the end of the rope, or you could look back, you could look at all the amazing opportunities that you had, and you know, it's a good thing to look back on, and it's inspirational. It makes you kind of want to keep moving and see how much further you can climb up. But man, does it remind you that you achieved quite a milestone with the time you gave it.
Yeah, and the thing about doing this kind of stuff, and it's when you go and you do a job that you've always wanted to do, and you go and work for a company, you have that network, that support apparatus where you can track your accomplishments, and you're held up, and there's a game plan. If you don't know something, there's always somebody or something in place that's going to kind of lay it all out. When you do this kind of stuff and you're self-produced like we are, and we you just kind of figure it out anytime you have a problem. A lot of the times it's you do all the work, and you're very much like that meme of the iceberg. Everybody sees the everything on top that you've got on all your accomplishments, but underneath you don't see all of the no's you were told. And that's one
Oh
thing
yeah.
I've told my colleagues and my team as I brought them on is, um, you need to become numb to hearing no. That's all you're told. We're not doing this to for the no's. We're doing this for the one door that says yes. And then when you get that yes, that's your opportunity to demonstrate what you can do. So you always be ready.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. So let's talk about um local bands, because you're a huge component for Oklahoma music. What other the local here in Tulsa? What artists and bands have you had a chance to interview?
We've done so many
So
over the
many. So yeah, I know.
years. And one thing I love about the local artists too is when something runs its course, they just, all right, well, thanks guys, dust each other, sell off their swag, keep a couple for their books, and then go look up, all right, what's the next project we're going to work. So there's so many bands that are amalgamations of other bands. And one of my I've got some very dear friends that we've watched, from their beginning, and we've got some folks that has they've been with us for the long haul, one of which is the Normandies, which I'm very grateful for them for playing my first ever self-produced event that we did last year, where we celebrated 10 years of doing the podcast.
Guys, I love those
And
guys.
they played for us. And we also had Crimson Love, who made their Rocklahoma 25 debut that this past year. And then we also had some up and comers, Nova, which anyone who knows Shane Diago knows how amazing of a musician he is. And so that's his newest project. But we also had some friends coming from Texas. Shout out to Even at Death and Sean Nations, who's uh, one of the most coolest people I've ever met. So we've just got so many local friends and bands that we've been working with.
Excellent, excellent. Talk about the event you did. It was your 10-year anniversary show. You had the Normandies on it and a few people. Oh, where did you have that at?
We had that at the Shrine last
Nice.
Labor Day, or excuse me, Memorial Day. Many
Nice.
of y'all know that Rocklahoma was originally on Memorial Day. So,
Mhm.
any of us who's been going for years and years, that holiday is always feels like we should be out doing something. So I figured, you know what, we'll do our event on that day. So we did it at the venue Shrine, which is legendary, in my opinion, to the local scene because they're if you're a local artist, you've played the Shrine,
Right.
and it's just one of the several hot spots for the local music scene. And that was our time to celebrate, man. When I started, I became obsessed with music, live music, and when I was 16 years old, and 1997, and here it is 2006, and I'm 43, pushing 44, and I love it every bit as much. And there's just so many times I said, you know what, I want to do that. And now with the network I have of so many entrepreneurs and local businesses who, they just said, you know what, I want to do that. And so they do it themselves as a hobby, but they haven't really made that jump to becoming a full-fledged self business. And so, you know what, I was like, you know what, use me as your vehicle, play with my brand, see what you can do, and we'll cross collaborate. So we had enough partners that, man, we put that event on, and it really did come together in the course of like a couple of weeks. And so then after that, we were just had the stress of making sure everything went right.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I love it, man. Talk about Rocklahoma. What does because obviously that's your podcast called Surviving Rocklahoma. What's considering it's only a once a year event? What is it about Rocklahoma that you love the most? Like, what made you want to name your podcast, or do you have a connection to the festival itself?
You know,
I know
in
that's kind of
2013, the first time I went, I to be honest, I went because I had found out that I was losing my hearing, and I've always been a concert junkie, as I mentioned earlier, and
Mhm.
my mindset then was, you know what, I'm going to go and see go to this festival, get as many in as I can before it goes. And so when I got there, um, I've always been somebody, I prefer to be in a group of people socially. Like I like to have a close group of friends, and sometimes that's hard to find, and one that
Mhm.
persists over time. Groups come and go, but when I went there, and I just walked up to a random group of strangers just standing around having, some beers, and the level of acceptance that I got there, and just the celebration of oddities. And, everybody is weird, and that we celebrate that. And that's just my jam.
Yep, I feel you. I've only been to the first 2 years of Rocklahoma,
Hmm.
and reason being, I mean, I was at the time. I mean, Uh, it's not that I didn't want to go. I had a blast both 2 years. Also, like, somehow, I had a relative who had an RV, so it was kind of a group thing kind of thing, because at the time, I know I couldn't afford a ticket. So and I'm not much of a tent guy. I kinda like to sleep in an actual bed. That's so that's just me. But, so when it started, Rocklahoma was like a throwback festival, at least from my perception. It was like a throwback festival for like the '80s hair metal era, and it was interesting to see bands that my elders would were fans of and would see. You know
Def
what I mean?
Leppard, Guns N'
Yeah.
Roses. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, bands like that. So yeah, I think Poison was on stage by the time we arrived, and it was all the sun was already down. it was cool as fuck, man. It was cool. It was cool to see that era still play and still have like that kind of energy. And and then yeah, once the last band's done and you go to the whole parking lot, the party is still not over. Everyone is still getting pretty liquored up. And so but the second, and then I noticed the second year I think is when I start seeing like more modern. I think there's like one or two like
Mhm.
modern rock bands, like stuff like that. I know I remember seeing Seven Dust and stuff like that, and then from there on it became more modern, but they got a little bit of the hair metal bands here and there, but not as much. So it became more of, you got your Papa Roaches and you got your Slipknots happening, and it was interesting to see Tech Nine there, but he does kind of mesh in with the rock crowd as well as the hip hop crowd. I know Machine Gun Kelly was on, and
Well,
so I
and
noticed like they opened up like because they opened up like what style of bands and performers they really have, and
Jelly
anyways,
Roll played twice, and he
uh,
just won his Grammy last
yeah,
night.
yeah, oh, that's right, yeah, that was a year I missed. I got to see videos and stuff like that. So yeah, man. I was there. I remember. I think it was the last year I attended when they had a big tornado storm, and it came with pure vengeance. I
Must have
mean,
been 2015.
yeah, hmm. It wasn't let's see. I want to say it was. It had to been like I want to say it's like 2008. It had to been after 2008.
Oh yeah, 2008 they had the stage collapse.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Because I
I
remember
think it
being
was
out.
12 actually, maybe. No, it was 8. It was 8, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was eight. It was right after I started Had Enough. So I know because I can't remember why. I th- I think it was. I'm trying to think what band it was, and then a friend of mine was there. Um, and then he was like, "Yeah, man, you should get like a live backup band or something like that, so you can do shit like that." And then that's all right. I know it was around that time frame. So, but
Yeah.
also, yeah, I remember being outside the RV and then just watching tents flying everywhere. Just it was just wild shit. And then when the storm was over, we went out, walked around where the state. Of course, I think they had to make tons of phone calls because I think there was like almost $500,000 of like damaged equipment. So you're looking over and you're seeing all these side tents with sound, and you're just seeing like just shit everywhere. You just look, without a doubt, a tornado just came through. It looked just like it, and
Mhm.
so I think they needed. So I think half the day they had to get preparation. They had to hire new sound guys, get new equipment in, and then I think later that day is they were able to restart. Well, pick up where they left off, I guess. So I always that was kind of my theory of why they switched from to I think Labor Day weekend is when Rocklahoma is now, right? Or am
It
I wrong?
is. Um,
Yeah, I figured it had
t-
something to do with Memorial Day weekend and just the weather. I mean,
well, 2013 was my first year, and
mm,
2015 we had what we called Mudlahoma. But
right.
those of us who go every year, we've got select years, and every year, no matter what time of the year it is, man, we just get nailed by the
Yeah, yeah,
storms. um, yeah, you're right. They did remove it, and it was up on Memorial Day up until COVID, and then when COVID hit, they
mhm,
moved it back in the hopes that we'd be unlocked by then and ready to
yeah,
go. And it's always been on Labor Day since. And that part
right.
of that was because Memorial Day is just a tornado. I mean, it's just a guarantee. There's tornadoes coming through Oklahoma in around that weekend. And the funny thing is, they got to Labor Day, and it's been just about the same way.
Right.
But and you're absolutely right. It was originally mostly the 80s and 90s and the hair metal bands, and
Mhm.
it has just kept getting bigger and bigger every year. I think
Oh yeah.
That first year I went, I wanted to say that, they saw like 54,000 or something. A few years later, when they had some of the larger bands, I think that year that Ozzy was supposed to play, before he fell and injured himself, which later
Right.
on end up taking his life. But
Yeah.
he that year they sold 72,000 for the weekend, and
Dang.
they've also been through several partners since
Mm,
then. When it was their own, they were mostly, keeping the hair metal and the glam days alive. But the more people that were buying tickets, the more people were also demanding the big acts of the whatever's touring at the time. And when AEG came along, they brought along the large promoter money too, and then that
yeah.
was a good partnership for Rocklahoma for a long time. In that, they learned a lot. They basically had somebody that was doing all the production and the booking and all of that. So all they had to do was maintain the grounds, the facility, and the festival and stuff. And then DWP started to come through a couple of years ago, but and everything looked good until what is on paper started to be at the festival. It's just it wasn't what the owners had in mind, and they said, what, this we're going to just self-produce. And so last year was the first year that, since AEG came along, that Sharon and Dave did the whole thing self-produced, just them and their partners.
Excellent. Nice.
We were so honored and glad that they had joined us last year. That
Mhm.
was one of my biggest interviews. I think that was one of the ones that I was so happy about, and we got the most likes out of it. They are very, I don't want to say shy people, but they 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 like to keep to themselves, and this is something that they put on for the kids. They do this stuff because they love it, but they come out and they just watch all of us having the time of our lives, and to them that's such a huge thrill for them. And so I'm so blessed that they'd been allowing me to skirt the coattails of their brand and stuff.
Yeah.
They could have easily told me, hands off, stay in your own lane, but they've they saw that, where my ambition was mainly to keep the spirit alive, and celebrating all of the people in the campgrounds and the people who go. So they
Right.
really brought me into their family and extended their wing and took me in and said, what, keep doing what you're doing. And I've done my best to always keep a good line of communication with them. So I said, all right, what are you guys doing? Is there anything you'd like to get out there? Anything we could
Mhm.
organize and make your jobs easier? And that's something that they really love about the Rocklahoma community, is most of those people are not just wanting to go and attend a concert and camp out for the weekend, but they want to become something more of what they are as far as groups and communal things. So in 2014, Christy Gross and I did launch Camp Mardi Gras, and because we love that. I mean, for us, we always say it's like Sturgis in Oklahoma, man. And so we did a theme for our campsite, and we just decorated and went all out, and we just invited all of our friends to come over. It's our night to party. And then now that's something that had spread and taken on. And so now more and more people name their camps and do a thing, and everybody gets along. It's awesome.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. All right, so we got a couple comments regarding Rocklahoma from Jacob in Tulsa. What is the side stage called out there at Rocklahoma for underground type rock slash metal bands?
So for a while before everything got rearranged, Doug of DEB Concerts has always had a stage out there, and it was the retrospect stage for a while, which was nothing but like glam hair metal bands and all of that stuff. And that's Doug's jam too. He loves that era of music, and he's got a lot of artist friends that are happy to come and play. So um, he's had that for a while, but in the last 5-10 years, they've had to relocate everything because it's just the crowds were just too big, and they couldn't get EMS and all this people, the emergency stuff through the people. So
Right.
now they've got the Freedom stage, which is the main stage, and then on the side um, is the Renegade stage by where you come in through GA, and then uh, Doug has his stage inside of the Roadhouse over by the shower house, also on the GA side, but more towards the campground. So they're spread out more so they don't have sound overlapping and all of that stuff.
Nice. And then Alan says the thing about Rocklahoma is the music, but most of all, it's the people I call family getting together.
I agree. And you were talking we were talking a bit more about the variety of the music that they've got. And one of my favorite parts about that festival is it is every year you go, if you were to able make it to every single band, which in my younger days I used to make it to almost all of them. There's such a range. Everything from southern rock to rap rock to
Mhm.
metal to the throwback glams. They've always got at least one or two bands that have been around for generations.
Yeah.
And then they've also got the modern bands too. So I always think, I think they do their best to have an eclectic mix where they've got past, present, and future represented.
Hmm. For sure. For sure. The music is a bonus.
This is true. I know a lot of people, that, and I'm one of them. We renew before we even know what the lineup was. Renewals ended on Saturday, and they were open for a week and a half, and we renew our seats early because we know we're going to go. For us, it's the who is playing is second. Like if we don't like the band who's playing, like I love Five Finger. It's absolutely nothing against Five Finger Death Punch, but I've seen
Right.
them like 5-6 times. So if there's a band that I'm just not feeling at that time, I can go back to camp. I can rehydrate, eat. I can go meet. Link up with my friends. I mean, there's just so much stuff to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a fact. So we'll talk about your personal favorite music. What would you? How did you originally become a music fan? What was the first band that made it happen for you?
The funny thing is, I grew up listening to '90s country.
Hmm.
Alan Jackson, George Strait, all of them, and that's what all my family always listened to. So I that to me sounds like home. But I wasn't like enthusiastic about the music or anything. It wasn't until I discovered rock and roll that it really just it sucked me in, and I was the typical '90s grunge kid. I mean, I just once once I put in Bleach by Nirvana, it was
Mhm.
over. Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Korn, all of those grunge era days in the '90s. Um, they really started talking to the emotions I was having at that time as a teenager,
Mhm.
and that we all have to deal with. And my good veterans friends like to say music is medicine, and that's the way it's always gone to me. Is
Oh yeah.
whatever mood I'm having, or if I'm trying to work myself through something, you put on some music or a good playlist mixtape, back is what we called them back in the day for the kiddos. But um so you're able to get that. And get it out.
Yes, late '90s, early thousands is the absolute best. Absolutely.
What's up, Shannon?
Do you still live in the Tahlequah area? Last time I saw you, you were actually at a show I did. There was a punk metal show at the American Legion, and I was the standout. A nice little hip hop opener, and I always, for me, it's I've managed to build a pretty good community just on my end, along just with my team and just the people we've linked up with, and like you said earlier with Rocklahoma, I have like a real family vibe within the underground hip hop community. But I like to do my metal shows and my rock shows and be the standout. Um, Makes it a little easier when I got like a musician on stage with me, which I still do from time to time. But man, there's a very interest. It's very interesting to see how much metalheads and the rock crowd can vibe to hip hop. I've noticed there's a similar energy. It might be different in the way that the music sounds, or how many is on stage performing the music, but it's very interesting. And relieving. It's no one wants to be the one act that nobody likes, right? so
Yeah.
but I do have my metal backgrounds. I was a vocalist in metal band for 7 years, so there's history I've had with that. But a good portion of my metal people have been pretty gracious as as I do different genre. But I got a few songs I get a little metal, so I give them a little bit of that from time to time. But I'm curious from your end. Uh, I don't know how much into any type of hip hop music you may or may not be into. What is your opinion of kind of the difference? Like, what is it about like that crowd that you think that they can find? What you're saying
I think
within hip hop music, even though it's like not as heavy, not a there's not necessarily live musicians happening,
mhm.
but there's enough of a vibe where they kind of feel the energy and aggression. I was kind of curious on your opinion on that.
I think what for most people it's the rebellion. It's
Yes, that's one.
the
Yep.
I'm I'm done taking BS and this is what I have to say unapologetically.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of people said Johnny Cash was ahead of his time, and he was.
Oh, he was.
He
Yeah.
had for him to be so much into gospel and country and stuff of that era. Um, he didn't give AF, and um, how if he had opinions, he would give it to you, and
Mhm.
that's something that's at the heart of rock and roll is rebellion, and I think hip hop's a lot of the same way.
Oh yeah.
Um, I've I wouldn't call myself well educated in terms of who made what and all of the bands and stuff, but following the eras of it. um I've in high school I was very much rock. I grew up 90s country, but DJing and stuff like that, especially after I graduated high school and was starting to put my way through college and stuff, I started working in the bars, and I had to learn to love all forms of music. Plus, let's face it, I was a rink rat. I grew up in a skating rink. I played roller hockey for 25 years. That's what they played. So I love all kinds of music, and I would say hip hop more than any other genre has had an evolution that can easily you can pretty
Mhm.
much track it almost in eras over in the 90s 10s 20s, because the sound is so very different. Where rock,
Mhm.
I mean, it's always been had it up and down. It's always been very varied and eclectic, but um, I don't think the sound was as clearly different. So, like, if you go through and you listen to like some NWA stuff, and you know, uh, and Public Enemy and stuff out of the '90s, where it was anger and from the oppression and such, and then versus you go to the tens and the 2000s, then it was more of boast. I look at what I have, and
Yeah.
then now it's just a little bit something different, and I don't know what you'd call it, but look later when it's past, sure I'd probably look back and kind of put my finger on it, but
Right.
every era seems so different. And
Oh
you can
yeah,
even
for
see it
sure.
through Eminem's music.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a let's see. Speaking of standout, Cody Jinks is touring Corrosion of Conformity.
Cody Jinks is an interesting story too, because he is um, when you watch him play at Born and Raised, I mean, he's about as red dirt gets. I
Mhm.
mean, the bald head, the beard, and he's out and he's singing his song, but he's also got a heavy metal band too. And
Yeah.
so he plays both sides of the coin, and I
Oh yeah.
love artists like that.
Yeah, me too. Cypress Hill at Rocklahoma was insane. Oh, I can imagine.
Yes, and the lead. I was so glad to finally see him. Not only just to see him, but weed was legal when I finally got to see him. So I was able to light one up when and get insane with the membrane when they were playing. So that was
Excellent.
huge.
Excellent. Replying to Shannon Carpenter that Cloud was insane stayed well after the headliner.
The one time we didn't have a tornado, we
Right?
would have welcomed a potnado, I'm sure, but it's coming, man. It's all right. And
Excellent.
that's the funny thing about Oklahoma's, man. We do not mind the weather. If we go up there and stare at the sky and place our mental bets on whether we think it's going to hit us, and if we don't think it's coming for us, we'll grab our lawn chairs and our uh, ice chests and kick
Yep.
back and watch the show.
Yep. That's the Oklahoma way. Not scared of no naders.
We but yeah, I really do like that they have the eclectic mix, and I you had brought up playing the show here in Tahlequah, and that was one of the shows that reminded me why I love this stuff. And that show for me was it was just that atmosphere that night was, I mean, it wasn't a big show. I mean, we had a couple, maybe couple hundred people there. Is the American Legion. That's not really a music venue here in Tahlequah, although they were
Yeah.
happy to have you, and the parking was going to go. But
Oh yeah.
they, um, that was like what you see on the vintage 80s, 90s punk scene where or
Oh yeah.
early days where you see Green Day in the basement, or Maynard James Keenan before he was afraid of the spotlight and actually on the stage, an underground intimate show. There was no stage to speak of. It was all on the same floor in the corner, and the young kids were there, and just man, they were filling it, and it was an eclectic mix. We saw it's where met Sabretooth, and
Yeah.
they're doing well, and they played
That's
Whiskey a
another
Go
great
Go
band.
recently,
Yeah,
and
Sabretooth's another great band. I'm trying to think. I think
I think
Escape Control.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and their drummer comes through, and he does some sound engineer things here at a local venue in town. I think the Squeeze In, which is a new venue, and they're actually it's a really nice venue. We used to have a fairly decent music scene in Tahlequah, but the venues that were doing them at the time, they're not around anymore. So I think there's
Mhm.
potential, but the bad thing is it's when you want to nurture a music scene, it very much is like starting a fire in the wild. You can have all the pieces, but if the kindling's not right, if the tinder's not dry enough, it don't really matter the spark. If you don't have the right pieces, it's not really going to catch. So, I mean, you can
Right.
have the venue, you can have the bands, you can have the fans, but if they're not all linking up and supporting each other in a cohesive community, it really doesn't take. And that's something Tulsa really, really has. So it's worth it to me to drive the 45 minutes to cover the rock music scene. That's not to say Tahlequah won't, but there's just not a lot of rock bands here in Tahlequah.
Yeah. I know we did. I think we did it. I did another. I had another American Legion show that we had booked, and it was on a. It was the last date of a tour I did with a few of my guys, and we did fairly well on that as well. And then I think they closed because I think there was because I had a contact who like would help, confirm the date, and then I would get and I'd be told like who to talk to and all that kind of stuff. So I think they closed, and then there is a couple of venues in Tahlequah. We did a actually take that back. It was my girl got a DJ gig. I actually got to perform as well, and there was one other artist. It was a Halloween show, and it was right in like the college area of Tahlequah. It was like a
Hmm.
bookstore, and they totally did, like they moved almost everything, and they had it all Halloween decked out. A friend of mine out there actually hired us to do that, and then afterwards we followed a couple new friends we made that night just to a nearby bar, and then it was funny because then my friend Andrew Live had played there earlier that night, but they had ended about 11, so I missed him. So a Tulsa friend who was there, and we just missed each other by like a couple hours, and so there are a couple places that I do
Yeah.
like Tahlequah as a town, and anytime I perform there, like, and you got your crossovers, like you have people from Muskogee coming through for the show because Muskogee's just next door,
Right.
and Muskogee's another town. I actually have quite a few friends out there. One of my artists is actually from there, so but it's just finding a venue or finding a bar that doesn't mind, some rappity rap or some headbanging shit. So
And the
knowing
funny
me, I would have both. I would have a hip hop slash metal show, throw a couple punk bands on there, and we'll just have a good time.
I love it. And the funny thing is, and I've always noticed this, and most of the metalheads or the rap artists, I don't really, I don't really have a much to do with the hip hop R&B and
Right.
the rap game, but I know some quite a few. The Oxymorons came through from New York, and we sat down with them at Rocklahoma a couple of years ago, and they were just so complimentary about the area, and they really loved the community. And they're like, "Man, you guys even got your own little scene through here for
Hmm.
all of the stuff. We almost went down and played a spot over on in the Greenwood district, and it was it's really awesome getting to meet people of all the genres and watching them as they discover local venues. And you're right, Tahlequah's got several. Sparrowhawk is out there, and they're doing an
Yeah.
awesome festival. There's Kroner and Bear here in town, and Dwayne's, but the those are all bars. My good friends and the best Cajun restaurant I've ever gone to, Lenny
Mm,
Bros. They do a crawfish festival every year, so they have
nice.
that that type of theme and stuff. But they also have acts of all kinds playing it as well, and they shut down Main Street. So it's always something going on down in town. But I've been meaning to branch out into country as well. I've got a lot of country artist friends that are telling me that I need to get it done, and I agree. But man, you know, doing one of these shows, I mean, they're great once you get them established, but oh my gosh, is it so much work getting
Yeah.
getting one established?
Right. All right. Let me catch you up on these comments. Chris says, "Wore a hoodie for the." I think he meant hoodie. Wore
Yeah,
a hoodie for the first time ever at the festival last year. Normally, sweating balls are soaked from rain. Sounds like a
yeah,
good time.
yeah. They get pretty cold out there, especially at night on Labor Day weekend.
All right. replying to Chris, same. I loved it. Let's see.
Huge
Oh,
shout out to Chris,
probably referring to the sweaty
the hoodie.
balls. So from right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a couple of regulars that come and watch our show. We appreciate them every
Nice.
Monday at
Awesome.
9 p.m.
All right. See, that's what's cool about the crossover interviews.
Of
So
course, you never
Alan
know.
says, I personally have found the Normandies in Eva and Evan and Death at Rocklahoma, plus many more I have heard of. Love it. Now I'm in Camp Valhalla, where we have grown with people from all over that become family. Nice.
You
Love hearing
know,
that.
I've got a really good a band that are a really good couple of friends. I interviewed them a couple of years ago from Brisbane, Australia, Snakebite Whiskey. And these guys come up and they just absolutely love it. And it's just so fun listening to some Aussies say that, Rocklahoma in this area is their spiritual home because they get
Right.
out here and they just like, man, this is awesome. And it's just such an amazing community, and this community is so damn supportive. I mean, if you do something and your
Mhm.
heart's in it and you're doing it for the right reason, folks are just going to support you, and they're just, what can I do? What they'll share your links, they'll buy your merch, they'll come out and see you out at your events. It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, man. That's great. That's really great. Man, now you got me itching to do some more mixed genre shows, which I'm already kind of planning on this year. Well, I've been booking actually with my company Carnage Crew. We've been because I'm also, you know, dipping my toes more into promoting, setting up events. I mean, most of the shows I do, I set up myself, and every now and then, I'll do someone else's show if it looks worthwhile. But but I do like to have my events where I don't have to perform, I don't have to lug the merch and stuff like that. So, and I kind of spread my shows out a little bit more, kind of, because I think the last, not I think 2024. I know, kind of. I kind of ended the year feeling, a little like overwhelmed by just the busy schedule. So now, like, I like to keep the schedule busy, but not so much where I don't have that much time for rehearsal, or it's just show after show after show. And so, and I like putting on events that I'm not on stage performing. I'm just out there watching, making sure the schedule's on, we're on schedule. I always grab a case of water for the artists and the bands. And so, yeah, I just like it to be a part of setting it up and giving everybody that stage, that platform.
You know,
So,
I was not ready when we did our event for. I mean, I no complaints. I loved it, but it
yeah,
was I had
it,
worn that hat before, and
yeah,
that
it's a
is
learning curfew. It's a learning
it's
curfew. So, yeah,
multitasking at its finest.
yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. But yeah, but I have I've booked a few like touring rock bands
Mhm.
that I've met just on the road, and those I've met through other promoters who do different genres.
Yeah.
And so and then there's been some metal shows. There's one we hosted last year at Badass Renee's, and it was um I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time. It was kind of a while. I was trying to remember the whole lineup, but we had a great lineup, and it was two touring bands. One was from Seattle, the other one was from Sacramento, and we were about 10 people away from sold out. Like
Wow.
every band, like killed it on the ticket sales, and then just as far as and then the band happened to have a pretty good hype around here, and it was the first time that I've ever like heard of them and stuff like that. I looked them up and so stuff like that. So I'm doing more of that this year as well, like giving,
Mhm.
like just being just the promoter and then put the show together and just so keep the keep the scene alive in many areas as possible, and then just do my kind of style the way I tend to put shows together. And
I love that.
keep
Yeah,
it
we
moving,
got man, we got a stacked year this, and I feel that, dude. I was so burnt out. I was so burnt out
Yeah.
after
Oh, it
Born and
happens.
Raised, and we let's see, last year we did Terps and Chains in March. We did our show Memorial Day. We did Terp Float. Then we did uh, Rocklahoma, Born and Raised, Rock the Equinox, all within 4 months. And boy, that fries your social battery. And I mean, it don't matter how much you love you're doing this stuff. You're just like, you know what? I'm going to go home. I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to veg out for a month.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Trust me. Me and my girl run an open mic at Lot 6 every week. We've been doing that for 4 years. And and then we both have day jobs, so Thursday mornings are and it's so crazy because I see almost every other open mic host, their open mic 7 to 11. Ours
Mm-hmm.
is 9 to last call, which is technically 1:30. So, but we couldn't make it earlier if we wanted to, because it's just the crowd that really comes for open mic.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, they start pulling in about 10:30. Some show up 11. I mean, we've already been doing it this late for 4 years. There's no going back now. But again, that has been a good community that we have built, or have built it, or been built organically. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
and that is and that has transferred to our shows, because we're meeting new artists of many different genres, not just rappers, but comedians, singer songwriters. You know what I mean? And so that's been, and it's a task to keep that going every week. And yeah, Thursdays we're just tired as fuck. And so um, I got this question. This is
Sure.
actually a really good question from Chris. While working the events, do you still get to be a fan and enjoy, or is it all business?
You know, that's a tough one. And
It
the
is.
funny thing is, this stuff is just so fun to me. And I like walking in and knowing everybody. I
Mhm.
like walking in and I immediately know the sound guy. I know everyone backstage. I know all the bands. So for me, it's like walking in as a fan with VIP lanyard, and I can just go an all access pass. And so for me, I get to walk in and then um, is feel the audience. But if all right, well, I want to go see what's doing over here, and I'm a very ADHD mentality. I'm a ninja. I'm everywhere, nowhere at once. Now it is this way to a fault. Like I've been telling my photographer and my best friend Christy, I was like, y'all, I'm gonna like physically make myself slow down this year. But I just get there and it's so much stimulation. There's so much going on. And the FOMO, the fear of missing out, is so huge with me that what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? And so I'm like a dog everywhere in the yard trying to sniff around and see what all's going on. So, I definitely make time to be a fan, especially my favorite bands. That's when I will you fully utilize the clearances and credentials that I've earned and amassed over the years so that I can get up on next to the stage. Or Sebastian Bach and Lita Ford, I was able to watch them from the side stage rather than out front, where I hadn't seen 311 in 20 years. And but I went up and watched them in the pit because I know that's a show that I want to watch out front. So I
Yeah.
do get to be a fan and enjoy. But um I'm one of those people at a buffet. I always put more food on than what I can comfortably digest. So And I love a buffet, but yeah,
Oh, I
I
do too.
I usually
It's
walk away feeling a little miserable. So
yeah. Oh, I recall last buff. It's I think the last time I ate a buffet, I definitely got more of the more food from the chef than I could eat, and I'm looking over at that sign that says, we have a right to no longer serve you if you waste food. I'm like, I'm sorry, man, I can't take anymore.
yeah, when I'm not wearing my trophy husband shirt,
Yeah,
I have another one that I used to wear. It said "Challenge accepted," and I wear it to the all you can eat buffets.
yeah. All right. I would say, I guess from my end, I kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I'm very concentrated. I'm always it does help, I guess, for my hip hop shows. Like my girl,
Hmm.
Bo Peep, she DJs, and so she has to know what the lineup is, so she knows who's coming up next, and da da da. So we communicate on that prior to show, and then all the artists know who's performing what time,
Hmm.
and all that stuff, right? So I kind of have that. So you have that partnership where you're able to communicate, what's going on, especially with open mic. It's random because you got people signing up, and so you never know how the night kind of goes. So it's very spontaneous in that way. But for our actual shows, so I have kind of that, and but even with when we're hosting the rock and metal shows, that one's a little easier. But I don't know how to kind of that one. I kind of get to chill a little bit because then I don't have the mental preparation that I probably
Right.
need to perform or stuff like that. For the majority, it's the sound guy and the band working together. I'm just there in case they need something. And I
Right.
always tell them, hey, I like I said, I always provide case of water. Um, but if they need help loading in, loading out, on and off stage, just for time's sake, I'm always willing to like help. Lift
Need a
up
hand. Yeah.
give them a hand. So I kind of try to do that. I try to be like a stagehand and stuff like that. But for the most part, there's not a show I've done, and like we've had some, we've had our slow shows, but we've had our shows that were pretty packed. And I couldn't tell you, one act that I didn't get a chance to at least check out two songs, regardless. Unless I need to talk to maybe the tour manager for a touring
Hmm.
act, or the venue owner, or need to communicate with the sound guy, all kinds of
You got
stuff.
the
But like,
networking. Yeah.
yeah, and then you get the networking people want to talk to you. But at least I know there's not a time where I didn't say shit. I didn't get a chance to enjoy the show. That's always been a part of it. But I know as things get a little bit more complex as your audience grows, well, if that happens, you've made a little extra income, so you can afford to hire some extra team to take care of
Mhm.
in some areas and so forth. So no, I've actually been fortunate in that way that I can enjoy the show. Um, so I mean,
You
that's I guess you call lucky. I mean, now I couldn't. Now, if I were to do a festival as big as Rocklahoma, I'd have to have him. You'd have to have a team. It can't be one person doing that. That's impossible. But even then, I don't know if they would have a chance to actually enjoy the show. Probably
yeah.
catch it here and there, but something like that, you're constantly working. So that's like it's the kind of there's levels to this. It depends on which level you're at and how busy you can be with the business stuff and how much, and in some cases, especially the independent shows, they once they get going, they tend to run themselves in a way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
So
and you do it so long too, you
uh-huh.
get the right people, it begins to run like a machine. And
Right. Yeah.
Rocklahoma is a very different can of worms for me. Now
Hmm.
that one I missed most of it. My Rocklahoma experience is the media tent. I'm in
Oh
this.
yeah, yeah.
I'm on Radio Row, working that booth,
Nice.
um, walking most of my time. I walked 30
A lot of walking.
miles this past year. My photographer walked double that. Um, I missed that one. That's one I have to say, you know what? That's the band I want to see. I want to see that band, that band, that band. And then everything else is scheduled around so that I can have those few openings. But the other part of it is I experience music a lot of different from a lot of folks. I
Oh
lost
yeah.
my hearing in 23, and so I'm being deaf. and now that I've subsequently got my cochlear implant, um, you I listen to music very, 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 very differently than I used to, and
Mhm.
you learn an appreciation for the vibrations. So when I do work those live music, I honestly, it's just not, unless it's a band that I know every song and I'm singing along with them. Um, it's really the crowd's kind of hard for me, especially heavy shows, because when people start moshing and crowd surfing, I can't let my stuff get knocked off. I mean, I got a
Oh, yeah.
$160,000 implant in my head there, so I, uh, I don't take any chances with that.
Oh, for sure. All right. Shannon said festival season is not for the weak. There is no way I could work all of them. Oh, yeah.
But I would say I'm very, very different than most fans. And
Mhm.
this is how I enjoy these things. And again, having an ADHD mindset, I'm not ADHD. I'm just saying I have all those tendencies. Um, I can't sit still. I can't focus on one thing. So anytime I'm doing something, I also have to be doing multiple things. So this is kind of one way that I take everything in that is available and experience it all at the same time while being part of it. So, um, and then I also get to meet the artists. So that to me is where I get the fan experience that um, I want to say that most people don't is, and I like to tell people that even though I can't hear the music anymore like I used to, I get to meet the storyteller and I get to talk to the folks and see where their head was at or where their musical philosophy is. And a lot of times, after you sit there and talk with somebody for 45 minutes all about their music and their journey, and then you re listen to their music, and man, it hits completely different.
Absolutely. And Chris said, "Why did I just seen Adam with Garth for Wayne's World?" I'm guessing that's an inside joke.
No, not really, but let me
Okay.
tell you, the whole reason I do my show is I probably watched Wayne's World way too many times growing up, and
Me
that's
too. Me
probably
too. I
you
actually
probably
just
see it a
watched
lot in my format. Yeah.
I actually just watched both movies back to back about I think a few weeks ago. It's still as funny as I remember it. Probably funnier. I've noticed this about movies in the '90s. I noticed this when during Christmas I watched the first two. Me and my girl watched the first two Home Alones.
Hmm.
Other '90s movies I haven't seen in forever, and it's wild how so I understand so much more as an adult. I'm like 44
Hmm.
now. And so the last time I probably watched most of these movies, I was probably a teen, if not preteen. And so it's just it's wild to catch up on to things made more sense to me that I kind of overlooked as a kid,
Right.
and or it's things like even things in Wayne's World I kind of identify a little bit more because you are like this because you grow up being this you know, into music and, going to the clubs, seeing the live bands and stuff like you're with your people and you give two shits about any responsibility, which, and then you're growing up and then you have all this responsibility. And so some of the, I guess you could say adult jokes, not the sex jokes, but you know what I mean? Like
Right.
stuff that jokes that you understand when you're an adult versus when you're just a teen and like, yeah, it's funny. Home Alone was wild how much more I understood. And, and I was also blown away at how cheap those groceries were
Oh
when
my gosh.
when he went there.
Yes.
What did he spend like $5 and he got like a whole fridge worth? I was like, where
Yeah.
do you live? I was like, oh wait, this is back then. That's
Remember
right.
when we used to get our concert tickets for $15 for
Oh yeah.
Edge Fest?
Yep. I remember the Edge Fest days. Oh, the VIP badge comment. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Up, and I got my friend Cheyenne Davis in here. Hi.
Yeah, and I will say I am very much like that. Every time that I have my lanyard on and I'm walking through at least one time. This cool? This cool? That's cool, especially when you're up in the side stage area.
Oh, okay, okay, I get it now. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
It's like, "This is cool."
I realized it now. I got it too. Yeah, but yeah, I do it all constantly, constantly. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
I
I
love
would
it.
say yeah, that's another thing. Edge Fest. I would actually admit I was probably obviously that's so long ago. I think I was 19. I was probably more I'd probably say this. This might be unpopular to say. I would say, looking back, I was probably more of an Edge Fest person than I was like a Rocklahoma person.
Hmm.
Now, reason being, and that's not to say I would never. I look forward to actually attending a Rocklahoma now, especially hearing how much it's grown,
Hmm.
and just how much fun that you hear people raving. So I think, uh, but Edge. I think for me, Edge Fest I liked was I think where you had like that main stage, and I know they
Hmm.
had I think they had like one side stage. And me as ADD as I am, it's kind of hard to have like so many stages and so many bands and keep track of because there could be that band that like maybe half the audience never heard of, but like I've been bumping for years that finally
Yeah.
got that that opportunity. So some cool folk metal band from another somewhere in Europe, so
Well,
if,
and
from
it,
Switzerland that finally got to play their first United States festival. So and I've been listening to them for 5 years, and you know what I mean.
hell yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Are you talking about Avatar or a different Swiss
No,
band?
I was just speaking
Rhetorically.
Euro,
Yeah,
yeah.
I got
So
you. Well, and the funny thing is the bands we were listening to on the Edge back then are now what's on a lot of what's mostly on KMOD now,
oh yeah, oh
as
yeah, I noticed that. It's like
the
KMOD was
thing used to
like
call
the 70s, like you would listen to bands from the
right.
70s. Now you're hearing Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Well, and they changed formats too
They did,
over
yeah.
the years. And the Edge doesn't play
Yeah, they play like
well.
hippie music now.
Yeah,
Or it seems like it.
they played modern rock, and I guess
Right,
this back then was considered modern rock. You know what was new metal and all of the grunge that was alternative rock, but
right.
now that's rock, and now what they're over there. But I don't know. I don't like mixing pop and rock. It just I'm not knocking it because I mean there's some great songs out there, but it's just
Yeah,
it doesn't resonate with me as well when it's less of a story and more of an earworm.
right.
And especially when you're on the radio, you hear the same 20 songs over and over and over again. So
Mhm.
um, there's just way too much music out there to listen to the same three
Yeah.
minutes over on
Oh,
repeat.
yeah, I think that's what pulled a lot of people from the radio, and, that's how, you know, platforms like Spotify where you could just make your own playlist, you know what I mean?
Well,
But,
and
for
I hear it from my the people in the radio industry that I've heard, and I don't want to say radio is dying, but it's it's not evolving as fast as education is, or not education, but technology is. So
right, yeah,
where video killed the radio star, um, streaming media is killing the radio and MTV. So
oh,
I
yeah,
mean MTV is literally dead. And so
unfortunately.
people are turning to podcasting and amateurs as ourselves as a legitimate alternative to the radio because um, what makes it so hard for us is actually also what's our biggest strength is we can play whatever we want to play, and so we don't have to play a predetermined playlist from a director that's the same repetitive bands. And I think that's one of my favorite parts of doing this is I get the both worlds. And we were talking about those movies, and this is just me getting to live out those
Yeah,
movies. And watching Wayne's World and watching Empire Records and Airheads, and I always wanted to be that cool DJ that everybody listens to for their concert tickets and their
Yeah.
where's the show, who's playing, and being able to do that now is literally is a dream come true, and especially still being able to do it, in despite of the hearing, and continue to do it. But that's the other overall message that we try to share through the Surviving Rocklahoma page, is an emphasis on survivor, because everybody's surviving something, whether it be mental health, traumas, or just your day-to-day life when uh, things aren't going your way. And um, that's where a lot of people find their strength is music, and that's something I'm able to use my platform to not only share my experiences, but kind of be the person that tells folks, man, I know it sucks, but it's going to get better.
Yeah. Oh,
Put
yeah.
this in your ear and muscle through it.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I'm with you, man. Also, I want to make it clear I wasn't bashing on the Edge or something like that. I just noticed their
Oh,
playlist has completely changed. I remember the first time I think I was at work and I had to run some deliveries, and then you know what I mean, and then I go on the Edge, and then everything it just and I understand like there's a lot of
oh,
we have a lot of new genres. It just sounded so off of what Edge usually played, or at least from what I recall growing up. And I was just like, this is like music I should be listening to when I'm on acid or something. Like it was so
mm,
I didn't know, is this the new is this the like a Pink Floyd inspired band? If so, that's cool. And then I was just like, so I go to KMOD, and I was like, when did KMOD start playing heavier music than the Edge? Because I always looked as the Edge, meaning it was edgy, like we're playing you the
mhm,
bands that your parents don't want you to listen to. They play Corn and you know what I mean, and such, and Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails, and it's funny because the time that came out, that was the music parents were scared of. Like it was
mhm.
considered a lot of their music was considered edgy,
White
in a
Zombie,
way
Rob
in that
Zombie,
time. And
Marilyn Manson. Mhm.
oh yeah, and then now it's just kind of like we just like it. It doesn't push the boundary like it used to,
Right.
but at least probably not probably for our generation, just because
Well,
we've seen and heard it all. So
and I'll date myself too. I mean,
yeah.
I'm 43, and when I was listening to The Edge in '97, I was 15, 16, up into my 20s. So that was literally 20 years ago. And any business that is doing the exact same thing 20 years later,
Mhm.
and
Bad
hasn't
kid, the bad kid
changed a little.
station.
Yeah, it's not gonna last very long. So I'm sure owners have come and gone and stuff. So yeah, they do
Yeah.
play a different mix. But there was a lot of longtime rockers that would listen to Marilyn Manson or White Zombie or Rob Zombie, and they're like, this is just too much. So that's us now. That's our age. So
Yeah.
we're now on the classics networks,
Yeah.
1033, and
Yeah. Yes.
it's no knocking it. It's just you
Yeah, it's
watch.
what it is. You know what it reminds me of? Have you ever seen the movie Airheads?
Yes.
Where he it's the main manager of the radio station. And
Hmm.
then
He's going to change it to
the host,
jazz. He's like, as of
yeah, he
Monday,
was
you're going to
like,
be the
we're going
the
soft.
soothing sounds of the rain.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah,
You
I
know what they
remember it being
say?
the
If it's too loud, you're too
too
old.
cold.
I love that movie. I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
do too. I remember it being the bad kid station.
Yeah, yeah, and
43 here too.
all the DJs had so much personality too, and that's one of the things that I always liked listening to in between my songs, is somebody who's enjoying listening to the music
Mhm.
as much as I am. And so that's what I try to channel, especially when I'm doing the events like we did this past week, where I got to host the event at the Bowman Twin Event Center. And uh man, I tell you, hosting events is just such a thrill. I just something about having a microphone in your hand and having that whole crowd just whatever you say, it's going to happen, and oh, I just love it.
Nice. Nice. Man, I guess that's all the questions I have for you. If there's anything else you would like the people to know, or but
No,
we
man, it's awesome. It's
yeah.
nice being able to sit down and have a conversation and me not have to monitor 100 different levels and buttons. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
awesome, and I do
yeah,
appreciate you
that's
having me on
me.
the
I'm
show.
always yeah. That's yeah. You know how it goes.
I
Hey,
was uh,
actually,
I was laughing before we got started because you were going through your pre-show checklist, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands. This is kind of nice.
yeah,
I need a producer.
for sure. Okay, actually, I got some curious questions.
Sure.
What platform do you use for your? Oh, and just I'm gonna give you a quick plug before I finish that question. Let you guys know. Uh, Adam here with Surviving Rocklahoma. He's actually you do a live stream every Monday, right? 9 o'clock Central.
Yes, sir.
All right.
We are live on Monday nights. We'll be live tonight here in a couple of
Nice.
hours where we're going to feature some local rock bands. We're going to be talking about this past weekend that we hosted, as well as um, what's coming up. You know, what's the latest news with Rocklahoma, and then we do a rock report where we
Nice.
highlight all the upcoming rock music events that our listeners would be like to go in and attend, and we promote the local bands, and we do all of this multi-stream, so through Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and everything
Mhm.
simultaneously, as long as the gremlins don't jump in my live stream and mess up my bandwidth this year.
I was watching one of your episodes earlier today. I was and getting caught up and making sure I was prepared with some proper questions. And I was kind of curious what the Gremlins thing was about. Maybe that's a little. I don't know if
You
that's
know,
a.
yeah, anybody who, and as a musician, there's anything that can go wrong does go wrong, and
Exactly. Yeah.
especially when you're a self-produced show, and we're cool as a cucumber when we're rolling because we've lined everything out, but when we're not in front of the camera, we've got a million things that are running and feeding each other. So sometimes, and a lot of times, you get glitches, something doesn't work, or you're ready to, all
Oh
right,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
now this, and then the video doesn't work or something. So if you can't beat it, and I used to get so mad because I'm such a perfectionist. Like I don't even watch my old shows, and I need to so I can edit them and put them out. But um, I'm just one of those people. I get so mad when something doesn't work out my way. So by calling them my gremlins, it's for me, it's like, well, oh, fuck it. Like Wayne's World, they're beating the damn thing with a wrench. You're just like, well, live. What are you going to do? And
Right.
people love it. People laugh. And so I grew up watching that Fisherman Bill dance where at the end of every show, there's just all kinds of bloopers and stuff. So um, I call them the gremlins so I don't get mad when and have to say I fucked up.
Right. I got you. So yeah, I was going to ask you, what platform do you use on your streaming, and that, and how long did it take you to? Because you do a lot of cool stuff. I think you even have like alerts when someone like likes it.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it's
I um
if you don't mind sharing that info.
No,
I
I
don't know.
do.
Okay, cool.
Kevin Smith said it best.
Yeah.
Um, Anybody can podcast. All you need is a
Right.
laptop and a mic, and something to say. You get there and you start talking, but the producing it is that's the figure it out. That's the hard stuff. Now, me, I watched tons of how-to videos and Twitch streamers because
Right.
what they're doing, they have to be able to play a game and then still have all this stuff going on. And I'm I come from a career in IT where we see something and then we reverse engineer it. And so after watching hundreds of hours of setup videos, I started using OBS, which is free software out there, and there's tons. It's open source, so there's tons of plugins where you
Hmm,
can add cool things. And
nice.
then several years ago, my I lost my cloud drive that had everything on it, and I
Um,
literally had to rebuild the entire show. All my graphics, I had to regenerate. I had to redo everything, and so I switched to Streamlabs because that is more geared towards, I don't want to say a layman, but more of it's automated. It's packaged together. And so pretty much all there, you got it. You just tick at the things you want to try and stuff. So I owe a lot of props to Streamlabs, but to be honest with you, I've just over 10 years, I've found things that work, things that don't work. And you know what? This works. It don't may not work exactly like it's supposed to, but it works for what I'm doing.
oh,
But
for sure.
also the other part of that is doing anything you do and you care about it, you're going to overthink it. And I have a problem with overproducing and overcomplicating things and reminding myself, kiss, keep it simple, stupid, and just sit there and do what you're going to do and not worry about all of this IT and equipment stuff. So Streamlabs has really helped a lot.
Excellent, excellent. When I had started this podcast, I used my former podcast. I had used Streamyard
Hmm.
and was pretty happy with it. And then when I redid this, I was going to restart my subscription, and I noticed that the price was higher, and I was like, let me look at other options. Let me see if I can. And Streamlab was something I was interested in, but I got so overwhelmed with the tech side of doing it. It looked like it was going to be fucking badass. But then
Yeah.
I got confused on how to do this and that. I watched YouTube videos and I'm like, I think this might be a little too complex. I like to keep things simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kept looking, and then Restream is what I ended up using, and it had just about everything that Streamyard could do, and I was happy with it, and the price was better. So,
Yeah.
I figured I said because like I said, I used to have the Had Enough podcast, and then I wanted to do a podcast that wasn't just all about me. So I wanted to come up with a new name, new direction. I wanted to um I got a new computer, so I got better quality, and I just wanted it to be better. And then just what Restream, it was, hey, this is cool. It works fairly well for what I'm trying to do, and and I'll upgrade as we go along as if I can continue to do this consistently. So,
That's
but
what
hey,
I
I
had.
say
Yeah.
I toast it to you for figuring out StreamYard because I was kind of not Yard.
Streamlabs.
Streamlabs
Yeah.
because I was looking at this like I think this is just for Twitchers. I think this is because
Right.
every bit of research I did on it, it was always YouTubers who said this was great for video games. I'm like, it's not
Hmm.
really my lane. I don't know who wants to watch me. I will say this though, listening to me, and watching me play Grand Theft Auto is hilarious be- because I talk a lot of shit while I am just terrorizing people on the streets. It's fucking great.
I need to get back into the game. I haven't played that in so long, and the six is going to be hopefully coming out. But we've been saying that for 10 years. But we I started on a Behringer and just a little 4 channel. That's what I took everywhere. But yeah, folks don't realize how expensive it is to maintain a podcast. So
Oh yeah, I can
I'm blessed
imagine.
with some amazing sponsors, and I want to give a huge shout out to Doug Burgess of DEB Concerts, AYS Rentals, the Liquor
Yeah.
Daddy of Pryor, Oklahoma, Pryor Liquor Wines and Spirits. They've, having sponsors over the years have allowed me to reinvest, and I think that's one thing not enough people do is finding the right ratio of um, reinvesting what you're getting out of what you're putting in
Right.
versus like, all right, yeah, I got my payday. I'm going to go buy this. Well, it's seed money. So one of the first things I got was my Rodecaster Pro, and that was a game changer. And after that,
Wow.
everything I buy has to be able to um, serve multiple purposes, not just one, so that I can use it in a multitude of ways. So that I don't have really a lot of money to show for anything, but I've built a pretty redonkulous studio here, so
Yeah.
I can pretty much produce just about anything and everything. So you've got to be ready for anything in this and be able to generate whatever kind of content your creative mind pumps out at whatever minute.
Hell yeah. All right, we got Freitas. It says, "Kiss, I live by that." That's me.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets me in so much trouble so much. I always try to do way too much at the same time, but
Oh yeah.
it's just the way I am, man. It's the way I'm wired.
Oh yeah. Anyways, man, that's all I got for you. I will go ahead and let you go so you can get ready for your podcast. Guys, be sure to check him out. If you're on Facebook, just look up Adam Richmond. You can find him on YouTube under Surviving Rocklahoma. And if you want to hear more of that amazing radio voice he has, and if you want to know more about what's going on in Oklahoma music scene. Oh, by the way, I have a question just because I know I
Sure.
have some artists in the audience watching us from.
Hmm.
Do you take if somebody has like shows or something coming up, or maybe an event that maybe you might not be aware of, and they just want to know if they can get a plug? Is that possible, or do you just have?
Absolutely. Now,
Okay,
I take all comers, and that's how I
cool.
get around most of the copyright flags.
Yeah.
Is all the music that I feature on the show is submitted by the artists, and that's why we do the segment called the Rock Box, and that's where you all send me your demo. And when you send me your EPK, your flyers for your upcoming
Hmm.
gigs, and high quality recordings, because remember, I can't trust my ears. So if you feel like it represents you, I'm one of these people. I believe art is subjective. So, I mean,
I do
just
too.
because
Hmm.
this jam doesn't really do it for me doesn't mean it's not going to go over. So if you just like your karaoke night, you want the microphone, I'm going to give it to you and you're on. So they you guys send that to survivingrocklahoma@gmail.com, and we'll put you in the mix. And then usually I try to promote local shows and
Uh-huh.
get you artists a crowd. So if you got an event coming up, I do my best to play music within a week or two of that event, so people
Yeah.
can like, man, I really like this band. I think I'm going to go see them.
I think I'll reach out to you about March Massacre. That's our big like event we do. It's 2 days. Um, it's kind of like our indie underground rap uh Rocklahoma or Raplahoma, I guess you could say. Um,
Gotcha. Sure.
and it's a lot of different subgenres. Like we've got like the hip hop metal acts and old school hip hop, new school stuff like that. Yeah, Freitas
Hmm.
is going to be one of our headliners. I always co-headline the second night. Now it's all at Badass Renee, so it's from a smaller scale, but our turnouts. This will be our 5th year, so our turnouts have been really great. Plus, we always have a food vendor, so there's always something to eat. And
Congratulations, by the way. Yeah, I
thank you. Yeah.
love Badass Renee's, man.
Oh yeah.
That is such. It's a small venue. It's a small venue, folks, but I mean, that is a venue that is sacred to so many artists
Uh huh.
that come out of Tulsa.
Oh, for sure. What I like about Badass Renee's is like it's your small neighborhood bar, but you have like that good stage lights and sound that you would get, at a music venue.
You
And
know,
it still has like that, it's still a bar that you can just go. You can go there literally on a majority a Saturday, and there's always going to be live music. So when you're looking for live music, something to do, you can always rely on Renee. You'll have that, on a Saturday night, trying to find something to do, trying to be like Wayne and Garth.
Right. And
You know?
while we're talking about Renee and Badass Renee's, let's give a
Mhm.
huge shout out to Renee Squeeze Brian of Dime Store Riot.
Mhm.
They're amazing band. They come through there often, and they'll
Oh,
also
yeah.
be playing here at the Shrine in a couple of weeks. They
Excellent.
played Rock
Oh, yeah.
Hall in a couple of years.
Yeah, CJ hit me up about that, so I might see if we can make that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, anyway, man, I'm gonna go ahead and sign out, and so you can get ready for your podcast. But anyway, man, I appreciate you coming through.
Sounds good. I'm going to go tackle this thermostat that roasted me here. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much again, Brandon, for having me on, and congratulations on this podcast, dude. I'm
Okay,
so
thank
glad
you.
to see other people doing
Right.
podcasting. I just absolutely love it, and it's my weekly therapy. Mondays at 9 p.m. Get you a beer. We're going to crack them one open. We're going to listen to some local music, talk
Mhm.
about local rock music bands, and what's coming up for the festival season.
Excellent, man. All right, man. Well, you have a good